Okay, let it zoom in. Okay, focus. All right, so you get yourself a motor. You either got the motor from manufacturer or you got yourself an RC. Now you want to break in the motor. Very simple. Let it sit and idle for about full tank, which is roughly about 40 minutes, 45 minutes, maybe 30, all depends. After you are done with the first tank, I got a WT990 initial carb settings display for you. That's the carburetor that I have. As you can see, low needle is 1 1/8 and the high needle is 1 5/8. So after your first tank, if it needs to be adjusted, adjust it, and then I would let it cool down, let the motor cool down, start it up, and at this point I would start it back again, let the car idle like this video says for about 10-15 minutes, and then again let it cool down for about 15 minutes. And step number 4, drive it at quarter to half a throttle for 15 minutes. And then of course engine brake in step 5 says perform this heat cycle, running cycle 15 minutes and letting it cool down 3 times. Okay, after you're done with that, you will do step number 6, which is run your car easy for 2 full tanks, and you will be ready to go. And that's where we're gonna stop, and that's how you break in your motor, whether it's a 23cc or dual cam 38cc or 64cc, whichever thing you're running. So you run your first tank the way I do it, even though this young man says the same thing. It just the video is very long as it is, so he's trying to make it kind of shorter. Says it would be really nice and good for your motor if you ran it sitting down, idling for a full tank, and then let it cool down for 15 minutes and then run it for another 15 minutes, let it cool down, do 3 cycles like that. Let me see, yep, that's what he says, three times, 3 cycles. And then of course you got your 2 tanks of easy going, and you'll be ready to go. So anybody that has those questions, these questions are being answered right over here. Oil, I actually use a 2-stroke blend synthetic. I will love to use full synthetic. I will probably go in for that as I finish breaking my motor. I do want some lubrication, some small little thin film of oil to sit there and burn in. Like he says, it's a heating cycle, so go with that. I do about 90 in New York. I get I believe 93 octane gasoline. That's what I use with a mixture of 25 to 1. Pretty much the way I calculated, 25 to 1, make it easier for everybody else, because I had the same problem when I got my RC and I got to the to this hobby. I couldn't really calculate well exactly what the measurements were. 25 to 1, I do 5, I would say 5 ounces to a gallon. So if I got a jar of 1 gallon, I do 5 ounces of oil. If I have 2 gallons, I do 10 ounces. If I have 3 gallons, I do 15 ounces. If I have 5 gallons, you do the calculation. Okay, so it's easy, and hopefully when you're done with your breaking in, you'll enjoy your RC. I did it. You will see sluggish performance at the beginning. Don't get disappointed that the motor is really bad or whatever the issue might be. I really didn't touch the needles. I didn't touch the needles. I haven't actually yet touched the needles because I didn't need to. They were actually set great performance, and from the manufacturer when I got the motor itself, I changed it out of my RC, and she was working fine. She was idling awesome, and there is a huge difference between the stock motor and any motor you will buy, let's say for $200 out there. I got mine from DDM, and it works perfect. It starts beautifully. I got the power pole from QRC for a couple of dollars, and it just saves my arm. It's you know, one pole, and she runs and she idled great, and she was steady. She had no problem from step 1 to step 6, and today she does the same thing. I'm trying to take it easy because I got about 2.5 hours of the motor, which is cool, but I want to make sure that I take it easy, just to make sure that motor is broken in properly, which is the most important thing and most important part of having and owning an RC. So in the future, you will not have any problems with the motor. You won't have to rebuild it, which is pain, and also you will you won't want to take your carburetor out and put it back in, out and in, out and in, unless the, you know, the gaskets are worn out. Then what you do is you take that out and you just make sure that everything is nice and tight, that there is no air leak. Same thing with the exhaust pipe. You're moving exhaust pipe, you're taking it out, you're cleaning it out because it's clogged, whatever, and the motor has problems of pulling high. You take that, you know, tune pipe out, you you clean it, you do what you have to do, you get it nicely tight, and make sure there's no air leak, because usually the first big problem is your idle screw that is not adjusted properly, and most of the tuning comes at a high needle. So make sure make sure you keep that in the back of your mind, that this is the needle, the high needle, that you're going to be tuning a lot. The low needle, again, there's a throttle needle, there's a low needle. Lots of times, don't be scared to tune the throttle needle, which it will give you a nice steady running, idling, and just air leak is like the biggest concern. You want to check for your air leak. If you have a problem, she stalls out, and you know your spark plug is giving you a great you know, spark, and you got the equipment from Pet Boys AutoZone to check your spark and it's strong. You take your WD-40 and you spray it around the carburetor. If she stalls out, if she lowers her idling RPMs, that means you got an air leak. You need to take the carburetor out. You need to get new gaskets, redo the whole thing, check and check and check, and that will work definitely. For now, hopefully, you know, I answered all the questions for these you know, new guys that are trying to enjoy the RCs. And anybody has any questions, feel free to you know, text and email, whichever you want. All right, take care, guys. Stay well, warm.